In this video, I'm going to be talking about how I painted and finished this giant ceramic sculpture of this astronaut guy. So in a past video, I talked about how I sculpted this guy. I made him out of Cone 5 ceramic clay. This was for my ceramics class, and he's been bisque fired right now, but it was not glaze fired. I won't be glaze firing this guy. Instead, I'm going to be using acrylic paint. I talked about when I sculpted the guy inside the last video. I talked about why I wasn't using glazes, or I was planning not to, and the reason was because glazes are very inconsistent, and I found that they're kind of a gamble. When I put them inside the kiln on some of my bowls and vases, I'm not getting the results that I really wished I got. I get some cool stuff. I get some really cool drippy glaze results, but that's not what I was looking for on this guy. So I decided to go with acrylic paint, and I watered down the acrylic paint a lot to sort of work it as like a watercolor. I know I can use underglazes too and fire it in the kiln, but I figured this would just be easier. The only thing I'm really sacrificing by using acrylic paint is the integrity of the sculpture, because as it's bisque fired, it's not going to be as structural or as solid as it would be if it was glaze fired, because then it would be vitrified. The clay would vitrify completely. The reason it's not vitrified now is because the temperature of the kiln didn't go all the way up to Cone 5. It's only gone up to 0.5, which is a bisque fire. But that makes the clay really absorbent. So as you can see, I'm doing this wash and this little time lapse here of the close-up of my wash, and it dries very fast. It absorbed right into the clay. Which I wasn't really going for a super precise look on the entire sculpture. I was going for a messier look, which is totally fine. I didn't need a very precise paint job on this guy. The reason I'm doing a wash on everything is because it's really good to just get the colors down and get rid of that white. The entire white on the sculpture just throws off the colors that I want to use. So by doing this wash, it allows me to see the colors that I want to use and what goes within the color scheme. It kind of gets me to map out my color scheme for the entire sculpture. It's a pretty simple one too. I just used a lot of grays and some blues and reds inside of the helmet to really pop out the wires or the electronics inside of it. And then when I wanted to add more detail or bring out the details in the helmet, I went in with a deeper, darker black, and I put that inside the screw holes inside the helmet. I put that inside all the ventilations or whatever. The details basically. And then where the metal intersected, I also did an extra wash, and I made that extra dark. And then after I was done with that wash and a few of those details, I went ahead and I dry brushed a metallic, I tried to make it look metallic. So by doing that, I dry brushed a bright gray, a brighter gray, and to make it look like metal. The hardest part in this sculpture by far was the skin color, the skin tone of this man. I really didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to paint this guy. I've never painted a face inside sculptures. This is my first one. I did do a zombie head, so go check out that video. That one's came out really fun, really cool. But for this one, the helmet was easy to do, but the face was just throwing me off. No matter what I was doing, the eyebrows looked too dark and the eyes just looked weird. And so I just kept going at it, and eventually I had finally found something I was happy with. But when I kept painting it, it looked like he was dead inside or just void of expression, and I didn't want that for the sculpture. I wanted him to look alive and well, and I didn't want him to look dead, and every time I painted him, he just looked dead. So I had to go back in and redo the skin color, redo the blush, redo his entire skin complexion many times. I found that the coolest part, I really liked the helmet. I think that was just the best part of the sculpture, because I went in with a gloss later, which you'll see. I glossed the helmet up to make it look really realistic too. I wasn't really going for a realism in the helmet. I was just going for a lot of detail. I wanted to look like an old-fashioned astronaut helmet and maybe tell a story. And inside my ceramics class, some of the students actually said that the helmet looked like a toy, which wasn't a bad thing, but it looked like the man might have made the helmet himself, maybe putting on the helmet and living dreams that he never accomplished in his life, and he's dying old and maybe never accomplished those dreams, which is an interesting theme that I never thought about when I was sculpting this guy. But I think I can see how they get that from the sculpture, so I kind of went with that and did a lot more details inside the helmet to make it maybe look like he made the helmet. If I was going for a realistic helmet, it would be a lot simpler, and there would be like a tube covering up his neck, and I don't know, that's a totally different take or different way I could have gone with the sculpture, but I decided against it. I didn't really have many ideas going into it. sculpting him, I just wanted to make a guy in an astronaut helmet. I think that just would look cool, and I think it does. The paint job I really liked. It was a lot of fun doing, and painting it was a really fun time. This is where I applied the gloss, and that brought the helmet to be more glossy, shiny, and brought the sculpture together, kind of separated the skin color, or skin tone, and the matte finish from the acrylic paint, and then it brought it against the contrast of the shiny complexion of the helmet. And here I'm just painting the tube that's going to be attached to the back of the guy on his helmet. This one actually, the tube was really aggravating inside this sculpture when I was sculpting it because it just kept breaking and falling off, and I had to reattach it, put it back together and stuff like that. It was shrinking at a faster pace than the rest of the sculpture, so that's why it cracked off. And then I'm just going to glue it onto the back of the sculpture, and this is the final results. I had a lot of fun sculpting this one, and I think I really love the details and the holes and the screw holes and the nails, all the wires and everything. I just love the complexity of the helmet. I think the guy's complexion looks pretty cool, and I'm glad I found something I was happy with on the skin color. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you learned something maybe on how to paint a sculpture or how I finished my sculpture. Hopefully this inspired you maybe, and I'll see you in the next one.